Davidson. I'm the head of student statutory reporting and analytics at the University of Nottingham. Somehow, I've ended up as the co-lead of the UK HE user group with Dave Kirk from DMU. Now, Dave pushed for this date and then couldn't make it, so you're stuck with me as your host. But don't worry, I've only got a few things to say, as we've got two great speakers lined up. So last I heard, we had about 180 people registered for this event, which is pretty amazing. And that was across about 100 different organizations, including a few people from outside the UK. So welcome to them if they've joined us. So before we get to the main event, and whilst I have your attention, a few things for your diary, excitingly. So last year, we had a fantastic event. Well, I think so, at least in Nottingham. It was blisteringly hot, but it was a really good day, and we had about 120 attendees. So we have another physical event planned for the 15th of July. The University of Oxford are hosting. The buildings look sensational, and we're working now to put together what should be another fantastic event. So we have some speakers lined up, including a repeat visit from Andy Cotgrave from Tableau, but we really want this group to be led by you, by the institutions. So if you've got something you'd like to share to what is hopefully a really friendly crowd, then please let Dave or myself know. My email address is on the screen. As last time, we intend to split the day into some breakout sessions, so it's unlikely that you'll be asked to speak in front of hundreds of people, if that's putting you off. Equally, if you have any ideas or thoughts on things that you'd like to see happen at either the physical event or any future virtual events, then let me know via the comments today, or drop me an email, or Dave, and we'll see what we can do. Also, we have, I think, another virtual user group penciled in for sometime in October, but more details on both of those events will be announced by Tableau soon. So exciting stuff. So on to, hopefully, our agenda for today. I'm doing my bit. And then we have Constanza from Cambridge talking about her Tableau journey from anecdotes to facts. And then we've got Adam Green from Jisc, but I think today he's going to be presenting on the work that he and a few friends have done under the hashtag visualizing HE. So we've got, we're using Zoom. It's got a question and answer tab on your screens. I'd encourage you to ask as many questions as you like. I'll monitor them and collate them and make sure that our speakers get a chance to respond to those questions at the end of their sessions. So I think without further ado, I'm going to pass on to Constanza, who's going to talk through her journey. Are you okay to start sharing your screen, Constanza?
Thank you, Neil. I just wanted to check first my sound to see if...
It sounds good to me.
Okay, if everybody's listening properly.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm going to mute myself now.
Good. Thank you. So I'm sharing now. Excellent. Thank you, Neil. So what I wanted to share with the attendees today is our journey in the University of Cambridge with Tableau in general, but most of all within the planning office where this journey started, and how we became from anecdotal decision making to more data-driven decision making. Sorry. So who we are? We are the business information team that sits within the Planning and Resource Allocation Office as part of the Finance Division. Our team is responsible for strategic and academic planning. Obviously, we provide administrative support for different committees across the university. We manage the university annual planning and budgetary cycle with all its caveats. And we support the own planning and resource allocation work that the schools do. Also, that part of the work includes student numbers and fee income forecasting. We produce management information that group together student numbers, staff, space, and finance management information to support internal requirements, and also the external requirements such as performance indicators, league tables, and statutory returns. So that's a briefing of what our team does. So where we are before we started this journey, where we were before we started this journey. So initially we had a Excel hell, as I call it. It was very messy. We had information coming out of our main systems. We have different spreadsheets all across different offices with different formats, and we crunch the data, the numbers, and stitch the spreadsheets to put them into a format that looks something readable in Word, PDF, or Excel, which wasn't the ideal or the best use of our time and resources. So this is an example of how one of our spreadsheets used to look like, which you can obviously see is not very user-friendly, and it's very difficult to do immediate analysis from a table like this. You actually are quite demotivated to start looking into that once you see this amount of numbers and rows and columns. So the management information and analysis process were too much, too complicated, and too inflexible. Too much because of the amount of Excel spreadsheets and reports we have to stitch together to be able to produce something. Too complicated because all the information came from different data sources or data systems, and trying to align those structures together was time-consuming and quite laborious. And too inflexible because once you finish your piece of work and you have a delivery product, then if anyone wants a change or wants a different breakdown, then you have to start the process all over again, and that can easily could take you from weeks to months. So it wasn't on the ideal world. Then we decided to implement a BI tool, in this case Tableau, for several reasons. Obviously, it was easier to do combination and crunching of several spreadsheets to create one report or publication. It was easier to handling the information. It was it will solve the problem of the difficulties to interrogate the data, and therefore do tailor-made reports that obviously generate different visualizations for people. It will solve the problem of highlighting issues for potential risks. So if there was a risk, it was quite visually highlighted on the different visualization dashboard or workbook. It will stop the long lead time to implement changes or additional publications. And obviously, it will reduce the frustration from our stakeholders to receive the information in a timely manner to be able to make the decisions they were about to make. So how did we start our journey? We started in January 2016, obviously completely fed up with the processes. We identified a need and we started to find solutions for those needs. So we started contacting different universities, colleagues, to find out how they were improving those processes. That was the year that that HISA implemented Heidi Plus as well. So we got in contact with Tableau server and the doings of Tableau. So in February 2016, we downloaded our first trial version. And started to build some visualizations with the data we had. Then 2016 in May, was our first. We managed to build a business case, and we were able to get some funding to buy 3 Tableau desktop licenses. Then from there, we started building all the data sets to support the dashboards from student numbers and national student surveys, league tables, research grants, etc., etc. And in January 2017, we launched officially our first dashboard, which was student statistics, and we shared it using a Tableau Public, the Tableau Public server. And from there, it was non-stop. We launched all our publications now using Tableau. They are online, and people are so eager to know and learn and use Tableau in the university. So what did we want to achieve with this? We wanted to achieve a data-driven environment. So rather than make decisions based on anecdotes, anecdotes are important because it's qualitative information you may not have on your data, but data is also important to support decision making. So we want to go to a more data-driven environment. Also move all our publications and the statistics from the PDFs, spreadsheets you saw, to a more interactive online tool, communicate reports in a more effective way, do profiling, reporting using that tool, being able to do benchmarking more efficiently and quickly, and improve communications and culture of communication. So we move from what we saw here on the left-hand side to a horrible spreadsheet to what we see on our right-hand side, which is our first Tableau dashboard, which is very basic, and obviously it had changed since then. But for us, it was a big achievement because a lot of effort was put into the process, and now we can see the results. Now, part of the evolution of the dashboards is, as you can see, we started to draft a kind of a baseline for layouts on our dashboard so they look similar, and we started to experiment with the way we want to present things. So depending of the audience or the needs of the stakeholders, we change our presentations from time to time. So we can see examples from storytell dashboards to just normal static dashboards. Here is obviously examples of not just dashboards presenting data, but how we can present analytics and give our audience the flexibility, or our stakeholders the flexibility to do their own analysis and ask their own questions to the data. The challenges we encountered in that initial phase were that we didn't have data warehouses for the data basis we need to create these dashboards. We had, as I was saying at the beginning, a lot of spreadsheets, and we were having a lot of information from one place to another, but nothing structured. So that was a big challenge. So the initial setup of building a database to fit Tableau was the main challenge. That's why it took us from January 2016 to January 2017 to deliver the first dashboard. Also, we didn't have direct data connection to the main data sources, our main systems, the HR system, student system, finance system. So we were working with extracts from the system, which were pretty much spreadsheets. And the other challenge we encountered in that first phase was how to share the visualization to the stakeholders. So the first thing we started doing was sharing the visualizations using Tableau Reader. So for those who just want to see the visualization, it was okay-ish because it could achieve the goal of seeing the visualization. There were people that wanted more. They want to interact and do their own analysis. Obviously, they couldn't because they didn't have the desktop, so they couldn't access the actual workbooks to do so. So it was a big step down in the process. But we started investigating some options to move forward in that sense. So anything we could publish on Tableau Public, we were doing so, and in that sense, that was easier to share. But some internal publications had some security levels underneath it, so we had to think more carefully about how we were sharing those. But one of the things it came to light when we were in this process is that sharing data can lead to sharing ideas. So the fact that we were sharing data, even though it was on Tableau Reader, kind of sparked this cloud of ideas from people, where they started just telling us, which type of visualizations we help them, how can we fulfill some of their needs they have, how can we do some type of reportings or indicators that can help with the work they do, standardized indicators, so on and so forth. So it was really good because it kind of enhanced the whole process of management information within our team. So what happened next? After we faced the challenge of publication of the dashboard, we put a business case together to purchase 30 licenses for Tableau Server and 10 more Tableau Desktop licenses. Obviously, once we did that, the need for the server grown in the university, and we felt the need that few user license won't do the trick. So and all our publications and on our statistics were on Tableau. So we put a business case together to trying to get some funding to get the Tableau server unlimited licenses. We achieved that by July 2018, and we started the implementation and rollout of the server for administrative service in November. We just finished that process a couple of weeks ago. Now, the implementation of Tableau server came with their own challenges. So obviously we had to define the architecture of the server, decide if we want sites of projects. We had to decide how to solve some internal complexities with the way we validate passwords to access the server, because the idea of the server is to give access to the whole university, the whole community. But some parts of that community were in different types of networks. So we were having issues in terms of connection. So again, some universities may relate to this problem, some others may not, but that was part of the issues we were having on implementing the server. Also, we have issues with implementing customized features. And the Tableau server have their own out-of-the-box implementation, and if we wanted to change something we could, but then it wouldn't be supported by Tableau server. So you have to start making compromises in the way you want to implement things, because obviously we want to have the support of Tableau for the Tableau server, but at the same time we want to facilitate the access to the server and make sure people feel comfortable using the server. And this comes from security levels. So when people get into the server, they don't feel comfortable sharing confidential information in a platform that have the logo of a company that is not part of the university. So it was a lot of communication working and awareness working that had to be put into the process. Again, we're still struggling with the complexity of accessing data from the university's enterprise systems. So we have to do it via extracts or reports or manual queries. The idea is to have direct access, but we are working on that. And obviously that brings to the last issue, which is keeping data up to date and keeping data private and, and maintaining some security levels. Then from that initial picture I show you, I want to draw you to this one, is where we are now. So we are now in a more comfortable place where we get the extracts from our university enterprise systems. Then the extracts can be in any format we want. For the purpose of this talk, we put it on Excel. Then we crunch and do calculations and merging using a software that do all the data cleansing and data prep. I know Tableau have their own software to do that, which is Tableau Prep now, but Tableau Prep didn't exist when we implemented this process. So we were using something different. And then once all the crunching happened and we create all these data sets in the way we need them to fit Tableau, we go to Tableau and create our dashboards. And obviously we're still working with Word, PDF, and Excel, because implementing changes are not an easy process. So the first thing you get when you implement a new change is people want to maintain the old way of doing things. So we have to carry on generating the parallel PDF, which is generated out of Tableau, but it's still PDF or Excel tables. There are huge benefits on the implementation of this process. Obviously, time saving, the improvement of analysis and data visualizations, and obviously Adam later on are going to touch bases on some of the amazing stuff you can do with Tableau. Access to dashboards is easier. You can access the dashboard using the Tableau server, using your mobile, using your tablet, your computer. So for the senior management of the university, is a great enhancement of the way they can access information on immediate information and accurate information when they need to make decisions, or they need to do a presentation, and if they're not in the university. Obviously, the democratization of the data allows more robust processes and reduce misconceptions, and that helps to improve the robustness of the data. So we have to put a discipline in the way we build all these data sets, ensure that we have data dictionary, and ensure that all our presentations, dashboards, and workbooks have certain standards, so people can understand exactly what they're looking for. So, and depending on the audience, we have to have a thinking process in terms of which questions would want our audience to ask the information, and trying to have a journey for them through the visualizations. So a couple of points I were mentioning. So we had a couple of challenges implementing this process across the university. We as a business information team saw the advantage of this, but other teams, which were our users of the information, felt frustrated with it. The reason why is because they didn't have knowledge of the system, they were not properly trained, and I'm talking here about the launching of the initial workbooks back in 2017. So they didn't have enough training. There was no communication of the strategy we were trying to do with the dashboards. So for the launch of the server, we changed the way we approach this. So we create awareness from the beginning, highlighted the added value of the implementation of the new software. We managed the change from the beginning of the process right to the end of the process. We implement training across the board. It started from Tableau Viewer to Tableau Explorer to using your desktop. We implemented also training online with some of the visualizations we created, and we gave access or highlighted where Tableau have their own online training, so people can go and see what can be done aside of what we have developed. And we created a Tableau user group and focus groups to identify the needs of our stakeholders, so we can carry on developing our visualizations, so they keep growing organically, and we can develop more ways of present data that can fit the needs of our stakeholders. So where do we want to be? We want to be in a situation where we can connect directly to our main data sources, where we can apply rules to extract the data and organize the data, so less crunching happen in the middle, and more direct access is going through the primary sources. Obviously, permissions and security needs to be set at that level, and have clarity on the rules of permissions and security. Then from there, we want to carry on the same process of generating the Tableau data extracts, and then generating the Tableau workbooks and the presentations. Now everything, because Tableau Core, unlimited licenses, we have the advantage of being able to share everything we present with the community, so the university community, so we don't have that restriction anymore, and that's a really big step forward on the process we're doing. Sorry, before I move on. But also part of the implementation is thinking, okay, what do we want to achieve with the implementation of the Tableau server? What are the parts of the universities we wanted to use this for, and making sure that we, in that awareness generation process, we engage the community, so we know from the beginning what they expect for something like that, like for an implementation like this. So it's been a very joyful journey. We've learned a lot. At the beginning, we thought that the most important thing was just create beautiful dashboards and that will do the trick. But also what we learned through the journey is, yes, that'll do the trick at the end, and that move our goal from anecdotes to data-driven decisions, but also is engaging our stakeholders to make sure that we are delivering what people want to see, and not just what we think is important, because this is going broadly across the university. So it's not just the planning team or the business team or the finance division, it's more than that. So we need to make sure that the launch or rollout of a process like this get the engagement of all the community. So this, as we were saying, we can start sharing the data and trigger more collaboration between offices and data sources. Thank you. Now the next presentation is Adam Green.
And Constanza, sorry, it's Neil here.
Sorry.
There's been a couple of questions, if
Okay.
you would be so kind.
Yes.
So we had a question asking you, now this was quite early on when I think you were perhaps still using Tableau Public, but asking how do you share the dashboards based on student numbers?
The student number dashboard is a publication that that is open for the wider public, not just the university. So we share that dashboard using Tableau Public, and we're still doing so. So if you go to Tableau Public, you can see few dashboards that we publicly made available to the whole community. But there are other types of data that have HR information, for instance, that we cannot share that widely. So we had to find an alternative solution to share those dashboards. I don't know if that answers the question.
Well, we shall see, shall we, and see if the asker comes back. But yeah, thank you. And then another question, which is a good one. How many staff were dedicated in implementing the solution at Cambridge? There's concerns that small teams with limited resources would struggle.
Yes, that was a challenge we faced as well. So initially, the 3 Tableau desktop were for the 3 members of the team who were doing this implementation. And the team grew to 5 now. So we started with 3, and we changed the structure of the team as well. So we got more people with Tableau skills. And for the implementation of Tableau server, we got 2 people that support us from our information system team. So in total, it was 5 working on the rollout of Tableau server and Tableau desktop.
Thank you. And this isn't on the question, but can I ask a quick question too?
Yes.
I'm just, you've talked about how you've migrated from a lot of Excel and PDFs to pushing more stuff out in dashboards. I just wondered if you had any tips for colleagues who may be going through that pain of trying to get academic colleagues and or other colleagues away from, I just want an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes, that's a challenge we're still facing. As I was saying, the implementation of change is not being easy. So what we are doing is, as part of the awareness process, we are showing, we're doing kind of showcases of what they can do. And in order to get their buying into the process, we give them an extra bit. So we know, for instance, as an example, finance managers want more information about certain areas that were not available before. So we are making that available to them now. So now they have direct access to that information through a visualization that they can analyze. And they can see how this new process added value. And that's the way we're trying to get all the community into getting a positive approach to use Tableau server. So again, that's why at the beginning, and when I showed the picture at the end, if I share again, when I showed this picture, even though this is where we want to be, we know we cannot get away from PDFs and Excel tables. But what we are doing is making sure that our dashboards have the option clearly stated where the user can generate their PDFs or the Excel tables. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, no, that's really useful. Thanks, Constanza. And we've, unfortunately for you, we've just had one more question in.
Yep.
So do you currently have the core server license, so unlimited licenses? And if so, have you considered how you might handle moving to the new subscription-based licensing model?
We have the current core license, and we did cost-benefit analysis of how it will work for us if a perpetual license or a subscription license. And again, this is not for everybody, but for the University of Cambridge, the model that worked was perpetual because of the amount of users that were going into the Tableau server. Now, the strategy of the university, and obviously I touch bases here just in terms of administrative service, which is the rollout I'm involved with in the business information team. But the university strategy with Tableau server is to roll it out across teaching and research as well. That's a project that hasn't started just yet, but will happen in the near future. So that's why for us perpetual make more sense in terms of cost efficiencies.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are you ready, Adam?
Okay, I'll stop sharing the screen so Adam can share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Constanza. That was a very interesting presentation. Thanks ever so much. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm hoping so, Neil. So first off, thanks ever so much for letting me come on and talk about our project Visualizing HE. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to talk you through what it is, what the project is, and how we kind of do that project, and probably about 20 minutes, and leave enough time for some questions afterwards. So the title of this presentation is Playfully Discovering Insights. And what I wanted to do was talk people through how the team generate a culture of critique, how we've developed our Tableau skills, blogging skills over time, and how we're trying to provide a greater understanding of UK open data, champion open data, and give a little bit of an insight into the HE sector, what metrics are used in a more playful and visual kind of way of doing it through Tableau. I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an outset of what I think you might get from this session. So we're kind of hoping that you might kick off some projects that might give you some inspiration to pick off your own projects with data friends in the community. More than welcome to come on board and give us some guest blogs on Visualizing HE. Show you how us as a team are practicing our Tableau skills, and with any luck, kind of inspiring others to do the same, really. So that's the kind of the set out of the presentation. And what I'll do is kick through a few slides. So the first one is what is it, and meet the team of Visualizing HE. So currently there's 3 of us involved. We've got Elena, Dave, and myself, all current or ex-HE professionals. Elena used to be part of Nottingham, Dave at DMU, and myself was previously at the University of East Anglia, and now I work for Jisc. And that's the team. And we are very passionate about HE, whether or not we're still in the HE sector or not, and which is why we do this blog. So what we hope to do is kind of bring that open HE data to a forum where people can see it and hopefully get a little bit more insight of the data that's available. So that's the team. What do we do? Well, essentially, the VisHE project is a blog and a set of interactive visualizations on a particular theme or topic. The project aims to introduce either a newcomer or a seasoned analyst to the wealth of UK open data that's now available, which is just growing and growing and growing since we kicked off the project back in March 2017. What we hope is that it might just give a little bit of a ground into the UK HE data, what metrics the sector use, and highlight some key trends that we've found in the data. So we're kind of practicing our analysis skills as well. The idea of the blog is to open the blogs with an introduction to the particular data set that we're looking at for that particular month or blog post. Where necessary, kind of show people how we've manipulated the data, so how we've prepped it, what tools we might have used, and how we went about kind of data wrangling that information to put it into a format that Tableau might like. The format of the blog posts and the format of the visualizations are often a kind of infographic viz to try and kind of playfully bring the topic to life. More kind of exploratory visualizations and the kind of more business-like dashboards, and we do kind of play in each of the blog posts, kind of teasing and trying out different types of dashboards, and then sometimes to a lesser or greater extent pull out some key insights and takeaways that we found in the data and trying to present those out in the blog post as well. So the blog post itself, we kicked off in March 2017, and to date we've got, I think 21 posts is up there, and roughly up until kind of Christmas 18, we were cranking out a blog post a month. We've kind of slowed a little bit on that front, and we're kind of releasing them a little bit more slowly. And we're just about to release one in 2019, and I'll talk through that at the end. But really, one of our big kind of takeouts is that we're just striving to show people what open data is now available. When we kicked off the project, kind of there weren't many people kind of publicising the open HE data. Since then, you know, we've got the WonK-HE, OFS, and HESA doing much more in terms of visually showing what the data is been telling us, that's previously been just pumped out in kind of raw spreadsheet format. So what we wanted to do is kind of show people more visually what's happening in the HE sector, and kind of WonK-HE is championing that massively at the minute, and finding it really useful. Also using Tableau for visualizations. In terms of what we're covering in terms of the blog post, the sources that we picked up to date are mainly HESA data sets. We've also looked at some UCAS data, some EU stats data, DFE data. We've also looked at league tables, international league tables, again focusing on things like UCAS applications, the HESA student, the HESA finance, the estates records. So we've covered an awful lot, including some Leo data from the DFE. So we've covered a wide breadth in the different blog posts, which is why we were able to publish on a monthly basis. So I just wanted to know, why do we do it? Effectively, we're awfully passionate about HE data. And what we really wanted to do was kind of do our best to show some insights into the sector through the lens of open HE data. We're really keen and passionate about Tableau. So one of the key goals of the project is just to continue learning our Tableau skills and our design skills, and putting those out to the public to critique. And it's a really important part of this project is to get feedback, whether it's in our close-knit team on kind of emerging Tableau dashboards that we're trying to build, or once we publish them, getting that critique from the wider and very engaged Tableau public community. So that kind of notion of critique is really important in the project, as well as just having a bit of fun. Whilst most of us work on HE data during the day, strangely it may seem, we quite like playing with the open HE data in our evenings as well. So there's a certain amount of passion within our project that kind of goes beyond the day job. So what I wanted to do was, obviously, you don't want to hear and see some boring slides. I want to show you a little bit about what the blog posts look like. And the key one here is I'm going to walk you through a bit of the format of how the blog posts work. And for this one, I picked out the Leo blog that we did, which was ultimately the one that took us to Westminster, to the DFE offices. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a bit. But effectively, what we like to do is introduce people to a data set. And as I said, it's not just for the seasoned analysts in HE. What we wanted to try and do is open the door of it to everybody. So in the start of each blog post, we try and kind of open and introduce the data set that we're trying to work with that particular month. Add a little context to the information and or highlight any potential limitations, of which there are some with the Leo data, which is the longitudinal education outcomes data set. So the format of the data blogs are a bit of an insight to the data and what it is we're doing, potentially any data prep that we've done to the information if it needed any. One key thing what we want to do is try and engage users into particular data sets. Often a barrier to getting any insights on the information is what's in there. How can we entice a user into looking at this data? Why is it interesting? So a lot of our blog posts has a kind of a more infographic visualization. This is one of them. It's normally quite simple, a one-pager. It doesn't delve into too much detail, but wanted to give some of the key overviews of what the information is held within that particular data set. So we wanted to engage the user with some more eye-catching visualizations. And this is the one that we pulled together for the Leo data, which is looking at the average salary earnings by subject area, both males and females. And then what this visualization does do is if you play with the interactive version is you can cut it just looking at females or males or both in this top filter at the top here, and then the different colors on the chart are representing the salaries 1, 3 and 5 years out. So it's just a headline visualization that kind of engages the viewer into the topic. The next dashboard that we pulled together was one around much more that kind of business-like exploratory dashboard, and what this doing is looking at the distribution of salaries by sector, by year, for all providers. You can scroll down looking at that information, and by subject area. The blog posts also then kind of offer out any other reading that we've been doing. So kind of a little link at the bottom of the blog post to say, oh, what else is there, what's out there, what other people doing on kind of Leo or that particular subject area. And another thing that I wanted to kind of draw attention to was the way that our team ourselves are just trying to practice our Tableau skills and our design skills. This one is an example of a blog post that I championed on it, and I wanted to show you how the whole team gets involved. So on the top dashboard here is very much a kind of to coin kind of Chris Lovesdale, the real Tableau stuff. This is very much a business dashboard that got used in our university when I was there, and it's a very standardized way of presenting the data. But we wanted to have a bit of fun, so through kind of various chat channels, through Twitter, I think it was, we were discussing how we might want to play with this Leo data and how we might want to visualize it. So we created a blog post which was a bit more exploratory and trying out something new. So in this one, Dave challenged me to do something on radial bar charts, and even sketched out some kind of design ideas, how we want to look after we've kind of generated some initial ideas. And this dashboard on the right is very much a off-piece, non-business-like view of some of the Leo data. And I'd love it if people had a good explore of that one. It's one of my favorites to try and do something a bit more long form in terms of dashboard, so it doesn't fit to a kind of 900 by 1200 grid, a bit more playful. And that's what we try and do with some of these data sets, is try something out, something new, go beyond what we're doing in a business setting, and just explore the data for what it is and have a bit more fun with it. So that's what we were doing here. And Dave gave some great input in terms of how we might want to visualize some of that data. I was crunching it in Tableau, and then we all collaborated together to try and write a blog post over it. So have a look at that one. We didn't really stop there. It's why we were able to publish a month by month blog post for 21 posts. And that was all the beautiful and lovely HESA data that comes up annually from all the HE's returns. So we kind of revisited some of the issues, some of the data sets, and then kind of revisit them in kind of second year of the blog post. Or sometimes the data gets used in different arenas, and as we saw the kind of TEF emerging and bringing in that Leo as supplementary data set, we thought, oh, we might revisit this one and put another blog post and have another crack at visualizing some of that data. And here we've got an example of one of Dave's visualizations here. And some of the outputs are quite playful and very much works when you kind of hover over the little dots, and it kind of brings the data a little bit more to life. Again, on the bottom right hand corner, what I was doing here is trying to present the whole thing at once. So I was trying to come up with a way that you could visualize the entire data set in one go, and using kind of like a barcode chart to try and present that. And when you hover over each of the little barcode lines, the provider figures change compared to the sector average. And it's a bit more playful, re-look at the data. So we don't tend to just visualize the data in 1 year and then leave it alone. What we try to do is bring some of that new data together and understand what it's telling us. The next slide is one I wanted to show you how the project's kind of reaching out more to the community. So not only is it a remote kind of project between 3 individuals that are working in and around the HE sector, but also we wanted to show you how this project has reached out a little bit further than that into the more general and very active Tableau community. And what we did there is Dave and Elena champions the Midland Tug, and they offered up the NSS data to the Tableau user group meeting and encouraged the users to use that data set and visualize it, and these are the outcomes with that. So that was both HE and non-HE Tableau enthusiasts from the community to come together over HE data on the NSS and visualizing their version and what they think would be a good visualization of it. So we also wrote a blog post on that, and thanks to everybody that contributed to that data challenge, and it was a lot of fun. And I wanted to show you two lovely visualizations. The top left one is one of Elena's beautiful visualizations of the NSS, and David and Elena both worked on this chart on the bottom right, experimenting on something new, both a chart type that neither of them have done before, and a kind of an exploratory way to visualize how the NSS might look. One of the other principles that we're very keen on in the project itself is that teamwork and the critique. Not every one of the 3 of us work on all the posts that we publish, but in terms of creating visualizations, but we certainly all come together to try and pull the blog post together. And it's a learning curve for us all to try and write better blogs as well as both visualize better visualizations. So here's a couple of examples of a blog post that we looked at fairly recently on the student data, probably the most known of data sets of the HESA data, and these 2 visualizations kind of come more into that business, an exploratory dashboard format, and a real crackers and beauties, I feel, and they work quite hard on kind of working those up, but maybe stretching the boundaries of what is always needed and wanted in a kind of HEBI setting. So they've had a bit more fun with it, and we've visualized those there. And in that blog post, I threw in a bump chart as well, to try something a little bit new in there, and just an example of how we really welcome that feedback, and it's hugely valuable to us in that kind of critique process. Is as soon as we published the post, people had comments, including Chris, and said, well, you know, my bump chart didn't really fit with the other charts. Could we maybe tweak it a bit to make it nest more nicely in the blog post itself? And we iterated and feedback that, and all that feedback in the community is hugely valued, and we iterated that quite quickly, and it made it sit a little bit nicer with the rest of the blog post. So that kind of critique, both internally and kind of in that wider community, is hugely valuable. So I've kind of talked about how we practice our skills, and I hope what I've shown you in some of those blog posts is that kind of passion coming through of what we feel about the HE data, how we might and are practicing our Tableau skills and flexing those data viz muscles to try new different viz types like radar charts, radial, Sankey's, bump charts, and many visualizations as they come out. We're trying out in this set of projects. The other thing about the kind of engendering the culture of critique, it's not just in the visualizations, it's that kind of honing and working together on the wireframing and the prototyping of dashboards. The analysis itself, you know, a continuing learning curve, and also very much improving and working together on improving our writing and blogging skills, which didn't come easy for any of us, I don't think. And I think we've settled into a bit of a style of how we write. But it's really nice to kind of get feedback and work together on those. I wanted to quickly run through where it's taken us. We were quite surprised to knock out quite a novel blog around the Leo data that then kind of got retweeted by kind of education ministers, which we were very chuffed about, and then to get invites to the DFE. We never thought for a second when we kicked off this little project that we'd get an invite to the DFE, and they were really interested in understanding how you might visualize some of the data sets that they've got, and give them a bit of an overview of how data can be visualized and how we do it at VisHE. So yeah, we had a lovely trip down to Westminster and showed them financial dashboards, student dashboards, information around the Leo, and it was a great day out. Without doing the project, get on doing this VTUG. So thanks for inviting us on to this first of the virtual ones. As well as, without a doubt, me personally, I don't think we would got the chances in the employment and changes in employment without this project and kind of honing that skill of both the Tableau, the analysis, and kind of blogging abilities. I don't think I'd have shifted from provider up to Jisc and or Elena to from Nottingham to PowerXL. So it's been a really good jump point for playing around with this data and visualizing the information in our spare time. I wanted to quickly run through some of the tools that we thought might be not necessarily good practice, but just explain some of the practices that we follow and some tools that might help other remote community projects if you'd like to get one started. So a firm believer in Trello or Microsoft Planner. Kind of we use that in our planning for what data sets are coming out when, where we are in any kind of development, any projects. How we handle the kind of remote working, we're location diverse. I'm over in East Anglia, 2 in the Midlands, but we do a lot of our work through sharing the data sets through Dropbox or Google Drive and linking to them there, and then posting the information on Tableau Public, and then hiding them so we can all look at the visualizations and then kind of iterate them. And give any feedback, and then we reiterate before we finally publish. Good tools for kind of that remote collaboration to make it a little bit easier. Things like Zooms and Team and Skype, just having a quick chat and kind of replacing that face-to-face discussions with more remote methods. We personally use WordPress, but obviously there's loads of other blogging tools out there, but the format's really nice. As I said previously, we were hitting a monthly blog post, but that was quite heavy going to do in your spare time. So we've kind of lightened that down a little bit and kind of going something a little bit less frequent, picking out some key and interesting data sets as they come up. But also, just to kind of mention how valuable the community is. The Tableau community is one of the strongest one I've ever come across, where everybody are willing to help, both in how to do X, Y, and Z in Tableau, but also the support when you do actually publish something. And it's such a lovely community. So I thank everybody for that one. What we're working on next, so we've been a bit quiet since Christmas, but mainly because we've been waiting for some juicy data sets to come out. And one key one is the recent released Jisc finance data, releasing for the first time open data on some of the key financial indicators, both the KFIs, the income and expenditure, and research grants and contracts. So we're on with that. Here's a little example of what we're working at there, which is a provider level dashboard that shows you all the KFIs of time series and where it sits within the sector. So we're playing with that one at the minute, as well as the Jisc staff is on our horizon. So that's what we're working on. I'd love to see some questions pop through around any future ideas or future topics that we might want to do, as well as anybody who would like to come and volunteer to join our team or kind of guest post or on anything. We'd love to get some other people's input. So please get in contact. And that's it really. That's visualizing HE. That's what we do. And we really enjoy it. We're passionate about the HE data, so we're going to carry on doing this project foreseeable future, and I hope people like it. So does anybody have any questions?
There aren't any come up yet, Adam, but I can
not,
ask
are
one.
they?
But I'm going to ask you one, just so you don't feel left out.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you. There really is a distinction between some visualizations you would do for fun or in your spare time and what you would produce in a sort of work or business environment. Have you been able to, has the stuff you've learned with circles and curvy lines, have you been able to feed that back into your business work?
Yes, well, yeah, it wasn't always easy, but yes, I have, and particularly, maybe not so in the standard dashboards that you would publish up to your Tableau server, for instance, but I've often taken that more playful infographic and used those to maybe drive presentations, so dropping those in PowerPoint slides. Or using the dashboard itself in a presentation scenario where on top of your normal business dashboard, you put the front end on it, which is a first dashboard, which is that more engaging one, to give people that bigger picture and maybe soften them a little bit to some of the data that's underpinning it, to show them those key messages. So yeah, absolutely. I'll put some of the more sexy ones into presentation slide decks and presentations to kind of help get that engagement with a community. So yeah, I've definitely pulled some of those in, and even the kind of the Sankey stuff, which is seen potentially more as a more funky visualization than normally accepted in the business setting, has its place as well. In certain settings, maybe in the more marketing or with information with other users that want to see that flow of data. Yeah, we've used Sankeys before and things like that, and they've gone down really well. Not necessarily always present the data that a user ultimately needs, but in terms of getting the message across, getting the insights across, sometimes those that are more off the wall or less traditional visualizations do really well, and then you just supply a data table behind that as well. So yeah, I have. If you found that you've managed to sneak in more funky visualizations, or
I just love a bar chart, Adam. So
you just love a bar chart. Well, there's nothing wrong with a bar chart, is there?
Absolutely. No, it is nice to see, and it does. There's something to be said for drawing people's attention to stuff, and some of the funkier stuff can do that. So yeah.
Well, absolutely, and we just found that Wonky is doing a superb job of bringing UKHE into more mainstream, and I've been able to see some of that data that's sitting there. But there's such a wealth of open data there that we felt that it needs that kind of more engagement, especially as we kind of do, we post our blog posts out on Twitter, and you kind of need that. I was in a conversation the other day on Twitter about a Twitter visualization. That kind of, as you're scrolling down the list, you need something that might catch someone's eye to trying to draw them into a topic. So I think it's really got its place to have something that might engage a wider community on UKHE data. So that's kind of why we bring some of those in. I see a question we've got from Robert around how we funded. We're not funded. No, this is what we do for love, passion, and it may seem crazy, but yeah, we just love visiting HE data.
And t-shirts.
And t-shirts, obviously, Tableau t-shirts, please, more of them. So no, it's just for fun. But you know, the skills that, you know, more seriously on this one, it's around the data sets aren't the point potentially. It's around honing those skills on data and data visualization that can be used in any scenario. So, you know, the OpenHE data is close to all our minds, but actually we're just 3 people that love Tableau, actually, and any chance that we get to kind of continually improve our data viz skills is why we do it, and why we continue to work on it in the later hours to do the evening once we finish work.
Excellent.
Robert said, we love Tableau at Birkbeck too.
Okay, questions have all gone. I think, unless there's any more questions, I think we're pretty much going to wrap up now. Just finally from me, thank you so much to Constanza and to Adam for two great sessions. I hope you found them useful and inspiring. And just a reminder, if I can find my notes, so a date for your diary, July the 15th, we're pencil it in. If you can get to Oxford, we're going to have a physical event in Oxford. If you want to speak, let me or Dave Kirk know. We can help. Yeah, just let us know. And I think we're keen to have another. This has been quite a success, I think. So I think Tableau and us are keen to have another virtual event in September, October time. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. And thank you for a great turnout as well.
It's been amazing.
So many people.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Yes.